Now England get their T20 World Cup underway tomorrow with Eoin Morgan's men taking on the West Indies in Dubai, and we can cross there now and join Nasser Hussain and Michael Atherton.
England's opening match of the ICC T20 World Cup is here at the Dubai International Cricket Stadium tomorrow afternoon. Against West Indies, it's a rematch between the two teams that played in the last final of this competition 5 years ago, although the two players are at the sharp end of that game. Ben Stokes, Carlos Brathwaite, neither of those two players involved this time. Nasser, Ben Stokes is one of three England players who have been injured and therefore not able to play. Stokes, Archer and Sam Curran. How much has that weakened them?
Yeah, a lot. Hugely, I'd say. Ben Stokes is a fabulous cricketer in all formats, but also the aura and presence of Ben Stokes on and off the cricket field. I know it went wrong for him famously in that World Cup final in Kolkata. He got Carlos Brathwaited. I think Sam Curran is a blow, because if you lose Stokes as an all-rounder, then to lose another all-rounder in Curran means that you have to, and we'll come on to it, do you play the extra batter, do you play the extra bowler? That could have been solved if you had both of those available. The biggest blow, without a doubt, is Archer. Archer, as we've seen, the World Cup, 50-over World Cup, and since, has just been a fabulous white ball bowler. In franchise cricket, IPL cricket, he is probably the best new ball and death bowler there is out there. So Archer is a massive loss. That
said, England are still fancied, one of the favourites by the book before this tournament begins. How do you rate their chances? Well,
they're the #1 ranked side. They're a very, very good side. They'll be looking for the double, 50-over World Cup and 2020. They are well led by Eoin Morgan, albeit a captain that's short of runs. And they won't be afraid of the occasion. You know, you used to turn up to old ICC events and think, A, were the side good enough, but also B, if it got down to real tough situations, could they cope with that? I think they will cope with the tough situation. I think the major threat to every side in this tournament is India. India, with the powerhouse in their batting, the seamers, the spinners, they're used to these conditions. They play IPL here. I think India are favourites, but England not far behind.
You mentioned India favourites. West Indies are the World T20 champions, the reigning champions. It's a very tough start for England tomorrow afternoon. How do you evaluate the challenge that West Indies will pose?
Well, both sides are very strong in batting. I think the highest ranked bowler on either side, Adil Rashid, ranked #4. West Indies, very, very strong on batting. They have the likes of Pollard and Russell that could come in at 6 and 7, Bravo at 8. That's a long, we haven't even talked about Chris Gale, the leading T20 batter of all time. So their batting's very strong. They look a little bit weak on bowling. They're missing Sunil Narayan, who is a great white ball bowler, a great T20 bowler. So I expect it to be a bit of a run fest out here. I would not write off the West Indies. They are champions and they could win it again.
Let's talk about one or two of England's selection dilemmas, which probably centre around the #3 position and Dawid Malan's position. It's ironic that we're talking about that, given he's the #1 ranked T20 batter in the world. But it does pose questions about England's balance, whether they want to go with a batting-heavy side or whether they want to play the extra bowler. And if they do want to play the extra bowler, because of that West Indies batting strength, is it Malan around whom there is a question mark?
Absolutely. If England leave out a batter, it will be Malan. And the reason for that is that Malan has struggled in power plays, and the power plays in this World Cup, as we saw in the IPL out here, are going to be vital. You have to win that power play. Problem with Malan is he uses up a lot of deliveries in the power play, and then in other parts of the world he catches up very quickly. That's why he's #1. You can't do that in the UAE, and even in the 2 warm-up games, that's exactly what's happened. He's chewed up deliveries and then got out twice to spin. So if they do leave someone out, it's Malan. The problem is, England in our era, that's what we used to do. Like Nick Knight played for 3 years, got to a World Cup, was left out as an opener. It's not the sort of thing this England side do. And also Livingston's a bit short of runs of late. I know he did really well in England, but not so much here. And the skipper is short of runs. So whether they just want that comfort blanket of the extra batter, we'll find out at the toss.
You're going to talk about Eoin Morgan, who has been chronically short of runs for KKR in the IPL. In a press conference about 3 days ago, he said he was prepared to drop himself. He's not going to do that, is he?
He shouldn't do that at all. I mean, England are just a weaker side without their influential captain. The whole direction that white ball cricket has gone in England has been driven, not just in this side, out of this side as well. We've commentated on 100 and blast cricket. You can see the culture of white ball batting in particular. That has been driven by Owen Morgan. He drives this side. When we get down to those nitty-gritty pressure situations, hopefully a semi-final, hopefully a final if you're an England fan, you will want that influential, cool, calm, calculated Captain Morgan. And also, Morgan is a streaky player. Do not write him off of coming out here on Saturday and just smashing it everywhere or somewhere in the series.
We're stood in the shade. There's quite a breeze blowing through, actually, through the kind of gaps in the stands, but it's going to be roasting hot here for the most part. Very hot, very humid, therefore lots of dew, quite hard to grip the ball, keep your hands dry, that kind of thing. How much are the conditions going to play a role in this tournament?
Huge, because it's a balance. You want to play spin. Spin's going to play a huge role, but if you're bowling second and the ball's like a bar of soap and soaking wet, England already had that against India and they couldn't hold the ball. They've been practising by putting the ball in a bucket of water and then trying to bowl and field with that. I think England have 6 out of their 7 games, if they get to the final, are night games, and hence dew will play a factor. Obviously, you could win some tosses and bowl first and get that out of the way. But I do think dew will play a factor, and that makes selection really hard because you don't know if you're going to win the toss or not. It'll be a tricky one. I still feel that spin will play a major role in this tournament.
Lots to ponder then for Owen Morgan around England's selections ahead of this opening game against West Indies tomorrow. We are on air 2:30 on the Cricket Channel.